I'll talk groups.
All right. Well, good morning, Watermark. We are doing this on the fly. This was a little bit unplanned, but either way, it's going to be a great morning. We're so excited to have all of you joining us online.
Hey, my name's Laren, lead pastor here at Watermark, and this is
My name's Derek.
Yeah, and hey, if you're new, maybe you just tuned in today, or maybe you've been watching a couple weeks, take a second, text the word new to the number 586-600-8200. We love that just kind of first chance to get to know you. So take a minute right now, pull out your phone, text new to that number. We just love to hear from you.
Yeah, it's the best way for you to take that first step. And go ahead and do that this morning. But one of the things you can do alongside of sending a text to that phone number as well is one of the tools that we utilize here so much for everything is our Church Center app. And the Church Center app, what it does is it has all of our registration information. You can go back and watch previous services. That's how you can actually tune in to our live services on Sunday mornings. There's so many different things that you can do through our Church Center app. And so we would just encourage you, whether it's Apple Play or Apple App Store, Google Play, to go ahead and download that app so you can just stay in tune with all the things that we have going on here at Watermark.
Yeah, and some of the things we have going on, a couple things. We, over the years, have had a great partnership with McConn's Elementary, and in years past, when COVID wasn't a thing, we had a mentor program where people from Watermark would go in and meet with students during their lunch, recess time. Sometimes they'd play games, sometimes they'd craft together, lots of different things that mentors would do with students. Well, COVID has limited our access to the schools, but one thing that we wanted to try to start up with our mentors is a little bit of a pen pal, kind of back and forth writing opportunity for those students, for you. And so if you're interested in that, you can find that event in our Church Center app. We'll give you all the details for what it looks like to be a pen pal. It's just writing a letter a couple times a month, and students write it back. And so we just know that even though it's not what it was, it's still an opportunity for us to have an influence for those students there in the school. And then other things that are coming up, we have a couple groups launching this week. We have a marriage group that's launching on Tuesday night, and if you're looking to maybe you're looking to get married, maybe you've been married for a while, looking just for some people around you to encourage you, this is a great group. They're going through a book called Love to Talk, and really just helps with communication, right? Because I think that's an important thing in any marriage, communication. So that's a group that's starting this week, and Starting Point is starting this week. And Starting Point's really, if you're just looking to take a step into a group, not really sure what's for you, this is a great first step. And those are both available in the Church Center app. Did we talk about Church Center? We didn't even talk about the Church Center.
Church Center is this app that we use. Yeah, I think we talk about it every now and then. But yeah, so I did talk about it. He's listening really, really well. Hopefully you're listening better than he is this morning to the things that I'm saying. But so he mentioned the Starting Point, or the marriage group. So you can't really tell too much behind, but this week we're doing some pretty cool stuff. And one of the things we're doing is we're doing a Watermark version of the Newlywed Game. And so in a little less than 5 minutes here, we'll want to make sure that you guys stick around and check that out, because, again, it's going to be some fun times. We have some true newlyweds. We have some of the in-between. And then we have some senior wedded age groups.
I don't think they'd appreciate that.
No, I mean their wedding time frame, the long length that they've been married is senior in comparison to one of our couples. So they are not senior.
Better.
They're a very young, wonderful couple, Greg and Lisa. Please don't judge me for saying senior.
This. They're not going to go back and watch
but that's
it,
okay.
So.
I do want to say one thing, something that you guys probably don't know that happens while we're standing here is that there's, and you need to come check it out, there's a photo booth out in the lobby because this is our big invite Sunday, so we're asking people to invite people for the first time. And so there's a photo booth out in the lobby. There is Watermark Kids Olympics happening this morning. There's donuts.
What's that? It's decked out.
Dude, there's balloons, there's all kinds of different decorations, and so it's going to be a blast. So if you haven't already come, you got about 3 minutes or so. Please drive safe.
Come to 11 o'clock. They can come to the 11 o'clock.
They can come to the 11 too.
I think the best part is the donuts. Like donuts and kids ministry. I know I told my son Mac, I was like, hey, there's donuts on Sunday. And he's like, I'm there. So he's all in for the donuts today. So it's good stuff.
So the other thing, too, that you don't also know that is happening while we're doing all this stuff is I have people talking in my ears, and I have people saying all kinds of really interesting things because they're trying to make sure we're aware of everything that's going on, being reminded of anything that needs to be said and how we need to say it. And so it's just going to be a great morning, though. So I think you guys, I really wish you could hear this because there's some interesting things being said in my ears. But we're going to have a great morning. I know we're starting our new series this week called Relationship Goals. And it's a series for the entire month of February. And it's just going to be a great morning as we start this new series. I don't know if Laren can give us a little bit of insight to what.
Yeah, I just felt like it was really important for us to dig into relationships and romantic relationships. So whether you're, dating, wish you were dating, maybe you're engaged, married, those are always challenging relationships, I think, for any of us. And so it's important for us from time to time as a church body to talk about those things, not necessarily to just fix problems, but really, I think, to give God's perspective on what relationships should look like. And so, we're going to talk through some serious things over the next few weeks. And, it's always challenging for me because I get to stand up and talk about marriage, and it's not like either of us, right, our wives, they would tell that we haven't figured this out and we're not perfect at marriage. But
I feel like I'm perfect at marriage.
Okay.
Courtney, my wife, may have other thoughts to that, but
yeah,
I think I do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think she would have some other thoughts. But right, there's always the challenge of standing up and talking about a difficult topic like this. But the reality is it's something important. It's something that we all need to hear. It's something that, I think marriage is one of the most difficult jobs that any of us have. And so I just love the opportunity that we'll have over the next 4 weeks to talk about marriage, talk about relationships, and really what God wants to see happen in those relationships. So it's going to be a good series.
And it's, I guess it works out perfectly. It happens to be in the month of February.
Oh, yeah.
There's Valentine's Day. So I guess anybody that's watching and forgot that Valentine's Day is coming up, this is your cue, your heads up, your reminder to make sure that you get things for your significant other.
And you got your Valentine's plans for Courtney yet?
Yes. I told you I'm good at marriage, so I clearly have my Valentine's Day stuff planned out. It's going to be this romantic evening around a $5 hot and ready and probably some shows on DVR. And we'll both have Mountain Dew in play because that's our go-to drink in our household.
Yeah.
But
that sounds like love. I mean, how long you guys been married now?
We've been married for almost 12 years now.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah. Well, I've got my plan. Like, I've already got it planned out. Can't tell you.
Probably going downtown or something.
We might be going downtown Detroit. Maybe.
So I do want to cover one thing, and if you're looking to discover what's next here at Watermark, all the cool things we have going on this morning, all the things coming up here in the Life of Our Church, go ahead and text the word NEXT to 586-600-8200, and we will get in touch with you and get to know you a little bit more through that tool as well. And about 20 seconds here, we're going to get ready for our Newlywed Game. So Laren's actually going to throw us out to our Newlywed Game. I'm going to head over. You guys, we'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, hey, we just encourage you. This is going to be fun. Take a minute and share that you're watching this service with somebody, maybe on social media, whatever it be. Maybe text it. But we're going to hand it over the stage. It's going to be a great morning as we gather together.
Welcome to the Newlywed Game. I am your host, Justin Love. Let's go ahead and meet our contestants, shall we? First couple up here we have today is...
I'm Tyler.
Rachel.
Welcome, group number 1. Group number 2. Names, please.
Greg and Lisa.
All righty. Big round of applause. And last but not least, group number 3.
We got Evan.
Ruth.
All right. Well, let's jump right into this, shall we? First question is for the husbands. So what you're going to do, husbands, is write your answer down. And then wives, you're going to see if they have the correct answer. All right, here we go. Let's start with couple number 1, Tyler and Rachel. Tyler, what did your wife wear on your first date? Rachel, what do you think your husband put down? Answer is? A hoodie. Does that count? Judges, does that count? Yes. That counts. Good enough for us. All right, couple number 2. Greg, what did your wife wear on her first date? Couple number 3, you can write yours down too while he's thinking. A dress. Yes. And couple number 3. So far, he's got nothing on the board. I don't know if that's his answer. And what did he guess, Ruth? Oh, boy. And, all right. So let's get a point check, shall we? $10 for the Deckers, 10 for the Shatkos, and 0 for the Newlyweds. And just so you guys know, these couples have been married mixed years. I believe Tyler is 5-ish years with Rachel, and we have 28 with the Shatkos, and I believe 179 hours total for the Newlyweds over here. That's longer than my first marriage. Question number 2 is for the wives. We'll start with the Newlyweds over here. Which Disney character would your husband say best describes you? I think mine would be Goofy. Sure, my wife would say Goofy, probably. Ruth, do you have an answer for us? What do you think she picked? Belle. Wreck-It Ralph. Lisa, do you have an answer for us? We'll give him an X on that. And Tyler, who do you think Rachel thinks, what Disney character she thinks you are?
I'm not actually sure what I am or
What she is.
Okay. All right. It might still be the same. I'm going to go with Belle as well.
Meg from her, I'm not familiar with that one. Okay, let's go ahead and get a point check. The points have actually not changed. Okay. Next up, we'll give you guys some signs here. This is the him or her round. So I'm going to ask a series of questions, and you're going to answer with him or her. And if you both get the correct answer, you'll get 20 points for each question right. First question, here we go. Who is more likely to re-gift? All right, we got... All right. They're keeping track for me. Who wears the pants? Who is messier? Who is the better cook? Who instigated the first kiss? Well, that ends our 3 rounds. Let's get a point check, shall we? And apparently we've lost track of the score, so it looks like everyone's our winner because all the answers were so bad. Let's give it up for our contestants. Thanks again for playing the Newlywed Game with us. We're looking forward to seeing you next time. Let's give it a big round of applause for everybody.
All right, well, that was eventful. We're going to turn the corner. But again, so glad to have all of you with us. It's just a fun way for us to start our service. And if you're new to us, again, so glad that you're here, whether you're in this room, whether you're joining online. We'll hopefully have all the little kinks worked out between this service and next. But you got to love technology. Sometimes it works perfectly, and sometimes it's the exact opposite. But either way, it's just going to be a great morning. So, like I said, we're going to turn the corner here a little bit. We're going to worship together, sing in this place. So would you go ahead and this morning stand with us wherever you're at here in this room or joining online, and we're going to lift up Jesus and worship together this morning. Can't go back to the beginning. Can't control what tomorrow will bring. But I know here in the middle is the place where you promised to be. Not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? As I walk. As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear. Like the sun shaping the shadow, in my weakness your glory appears. Not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? I'm not enough. I'm not enough
Let's sing this truth together. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, and dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Not for a minute was I forsaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Come, Holy Spirit, and dry bones awaken. The Lord is in this place. The Lord is in this place. Can we all declare this together this morning? Sing this out. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here? Just lift your voices, church. Sing that out this morning. I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here? 'Cause all I want is all you want. Gathered at the highest throne, welcomed by a melody, an anthem I have always known, a song that's always been in me. All glory and honor, dominion and power to you. Sing this out this morning, church. A million angels fall, face down on the floor, all to echo, holy is the Lord. My heart can't help but sing, with all of heaven roar, forever echo, holy is the Lord. Oh, oh, forever echo, holy is the Lord. Memorized by every heart, written in eternity, every lifted voice apart, joining in the symphony. All glory and honor, dominion and power to you. Oh, all wisdom and wonder belong to no other but you. A million angels fall, face down on the floor, there before the throne of grace. Majesty before my eyes. Let it take my breath away. Can we sing this, church? Sing that. A million angels fall. Come on, sing with them. All to echo holy. My heart can't help but sing with all of heaven roar forever echo holy is the Lord. A million angels fall face down on the floor, all to echo holy is the Lord. My heart can't help but sing with all of heaven roar forever echo holy is the Lord. You know, that was a new song to us this morning. And obviously, if this is your first time with us, it was new too. But, you know, it's just a powerful, powerful truth that we can sing and worship with in this morning. You know, and if you're new to us, this idea of singing worship songs or this idea of singing in public, it might seem strange. Even if you're not new to us, the idea of singing in public might seem strange. But church, as I say often, we're not just here singing songs. What we're here this morning doing, as we just said, is we are declaring that holy is the Lord. And not just us here in this room, not just those that are maybe online, but we're singing with the angels of heaven. And I know that seems so big, right? But if I'm being honest with you, I was thinking about it this week. I was kind of preparing, singing this new song where we talk about a million angels fall face down on the floor. All just to echo the words, holy, holy, holy is the Lord. And there will be a day when that's all that we do. And if I'm being honest, I know it's going to be amazing because it means that I don't have to do a bunch of planning to do it. I can just say, you know what? Holy is the Lord. And so this morning, just one more time, as a body, as a church, but as individuals across this room, can we just sing that part of the song one more time? A million angels fall, face down on the floor. Just together, let's lift up our voices. A million angels fall, face down on the floor. All to echo, holy is the Lord. My heart can't help but sing with all of heaven roar. Forever echo, holy. Sing that again, a million angels. A million angels fall, face down on the floor. All to echo, holy is the Lord. My heart can't help but sing with all of heaven roar. Forever echo, holy is the Lord.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, what a wonderful picture of what it is to be in your presence. And so God, that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, that That's what we want people to experience as we gather together. There's something about when the body of believers gathers together that you show up, that your presence is there, God. So today, God, we just give you the glory for who you are. God, and as much as I know today there's a little bit of fun mixed in with worship and truth as well, God, but I pray that you would just be glorified in it all, God. We pray that your Spirit would continue to move in a powerful way. Your Spirit would speak. God, as we start a relationship series, God, I pray that you bring healing to marriages, to relationships, to the relationships that matter the most to us. God, I pray that we would see healing happen in just a powerful way that only you can do. So, God, we're going to give you this time. We love you. We give you praise. Amen and amen. You may be seated. Cannot thank you enough for joining us this morning. My name is Laren Wentworth, the lead pastor here at Watermark. And hey, if you're new, we are so glad that you joined us today, and something we'd love for you to do. If you're joining us online, you can do this. If you're in person, you can text the word new to the number 586-600-8200. And even if you're here in person, on your way out, make sure you stop by Guest Central. We've got a gift for you, just an opportunity for us to say thanks for being here with us today. And we say it every week, make sure you download the Church Center app. It's got lots of things going in the app, like you can see what's happening here at Watermark. And some of those things, one is we have, over the years, had an incredible relationship with McConn's Elementary. It's a school right here in our Anchor Bay School District. And God has really opened some unbelievable doors into the lives of those students, those families and staff there at McConn's Elementary, but COVID has challenged that. We haven't had as much access over the last couple years, but one of my favorite things that we've done at McConn's Elementary is our mentor program. And so we would have mentors that would go in during lunch and recess and spend time with students, and they'd play games, and just, those adults would invest in those students. And so COVID kind of shut that down, but we're kind of starting it back up. And one of the first things that we have the opportunity to do with the mentor program is to have kind of a pen pal program where students are writing letters back and forth to those students there at McConn's Elementary. Just kind of, it helps them in their reading and writing, and it also allows us to invest in them. So I'd encourage you, if that's something that sounds interesting to you, it's one of the things that kind of is the hallmark of what Watermark is. We want to serve our community. And so we invite you. It's an easy thing to do. You're writing 2 letters a month. You can find that, sign up in our Church Center app or on our website. And then this week we have 2 groups that are launching. We know that groups are so important to our spiritual walk. We have a marriage group that's launching on Tuesday night and a starting point group that's launching on Wednesday night. And both of those groups, if you're thinking about getting married, if you are married, that Love Top group is going to be such a great series to jump into. So we invite you to go. You can find out all the information. You can sign up in the Church Center app or on our website. And if you're not sure what kind of group might be for you, that starting point group, that would be a great place to jump in to find a group that kind of fits you, fits your personality. Well, we say this every week. Cannot thank you enough for your generosity here at Watermark. Thank you for continuing to give. Your generosity allows us to have an impact well beyond the walls of our church, so we just can't thank you enough for that. And if you have yet to take that step here at Watermark, a couple easy ways. You can give in the Church Center app. You can give at watermarkchurchmi.com. Or if you're here in person on your way out, there's a box in the back with some envelopes. Well, again, we're kicking off a series, so we thought we'd have a little fun today. Our band, they are super talented, and they are great musicians. And so I know this isn't a Jesus song, but we thought we'd have a little bit of fun. So why don't you sit back and enjoy this.
Tell the world, never was my girl. You can burn my clothes up when I'm gone. Or you can tell your friends just what a fool I've been, and laugh and joke about me on the phone. You can tell my arms go back to the farm. You can tell my feet to hit the floor. My achy, breaky heart, sing it. I just don't think he'd understand. And if you tell my heart, my achy, breaky heart, he might blow up and kill this man.
All right. I could tell some of you are like, can I tap my foot to this? Like, we're in church, is it okay? And others like didn't care. You were singing along, you were getting into it. But we just thought maybe a fun way to kind of kick off our relationship series, relationship goals this morning. And in our band, you know, they're super talented, and sometimes they don't get to show that off. So today was that day. So here's what I'm sure is going on. I think maybe for the ladies, you're thinking, finally, right? A relationship series. Finally, we're going to talk about some of this stuff. And the men are thinking, I was just starting to like this guy. Like, I was just starting to like this guy. But ladies, let me let you in on this. For us men, we tend to think of relationships the way most of you maybe think about cars. That we don't want to work on it, right? We just want the relationship to work. And so, ladies, when you say, hey, you know, let's talk about a relationship. I'm so glad that we're having a relationship series. Maybe we can talk after the message. Let me tell you what we hear. We hear, hey, there's something wrong with us, and you know how to fix us, right? That's what we hear. And so I just want to say this. Let's just everyone relax a little bit, right? We had a little bit of fun this morning. And the truth is, I'm probably not going to say anything that you have never heard before. But what I hope is that maybe we're able to put it in a little bit different perspective in a way that maybe you've never thought about it before. And over the next few weeks, what I hope too is that you gain some insight into relationships, whether you're dating or hoping to date, whether you've been married for like Evan and Ruth for a week or for years. That even over the next few weeks, there's an opportunity to put some more tools into your toolbox, and for some maybe to prepare for that future relationship. And also realize this too, that for some, this is just going to be a chance to refocus, to kind of refocus on your relationship. But let me start by doing this. So when it comes to relationships, let's just be honest. All of us, we have this box. And it's an invisible box. And it's a box that what we tend to do is put all of our hopes and our dreams and our desires into it. And if you're single and not dating anybody, you're not 100% sure of what things you want in this box. But as you move into a relationship, or you think you might be moving into a more significant relationship, the things that you put into this box, they get just a little bit more defined. Because for every single one of us, we have hopes, we have dreams, we have desires, we have wishes when it comes to what we want our relationships to look like. If you're engaged, hopefully you've already talked about what's in your box, and you've already heard from your fiance what's in their box. If you're married, you should definitely know what's in your spouse's box, and some of you do, and the reality is some of you don't, which is part of the problem. But we all have hopes and dreams and desires, and we place them into this box, right? We have hopes and dreams and desires when it comes to our money, because we think about this, that we're thinking about our marriage someday, and we're going to have a lot of money. Well, we're not going to have a lot of money. All we got is love. There's two of us, and now we can have double the income, or maybe we're going to have a single income, and I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. We all have hopes and dreams and desires when it comes to our finances, our money. Are we, some might come into a marriage thinking, well, I think we should have a budget, and then others saying, well, I don't think so, right? And right, when it comes to marriage, relationship, we have hopes and dreams and desires, what it looks like when we think about our family, right? We think about kids, right?
how many kids, right? Maybe you're thinking just one. Maybe for some of you, like, no, I was a single child, and I don't want that for my kids. So I got 2, I got 3, 4, 5 kids. And so we enter into marriage, and we have all these ideas and dreams and hopes. If we've got 2 girls, and I want at least a boy, so we're going to keep trying till we have a boy. And so we bring that into the marriage. We put it into this box. We even have hopes and dreams and ideas when it comes to chores around the house, right? How we expect things to be clean, a definition of what it is to be clean, right? Because maybe the house that you grew up in, their definition of clean isn't the same as your definition of clean. And so you put those things into that box. And I don't know why those gloves were pink. It is not insinuating anything. It's just an object lesson, right? But you bring those things into the marriage. When it comes to a house, right? For you, it's that way, right? When it comes to a house, when you're thinking about, hey, our house, you put into that box, maybe it's, well, hey, we want to rent, we want to lease, we want to buy. You've even got a picture of what your schedule looks like, right? You've got a picture of what you think your schedule should look like, what your free time should look like, and you place it in that box, and you stick it in there. You still get to spend time with your friends, and I'm going to spend time with my friends, or no, we're going to spend all of our time together. Hopes and dreams and ideas about your calendar, because, hey, we'll spend Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter with my family, and your family, they can have Halloween and Groundhog Day. Like, that's how we're going to split this up. Listen, and this is the truth. Every guy has hopes and dreams about what his wife is or is not going to wear to bed. That's just the reality of it. Every guy has hopes and dreams, and she's thinking, he just wants me to be comfortable. He doesn't care. He's going to accept me the way that I am. Those things won't even matter. But, right, we bring those things into a relationship, and we put them into this box. We even bring in a little bit of conflict resolution, right? Hopes and dreams of how we're going to resolve conflict, and we put it in that box, well, hey, we're just going to talk things out. And we're just going to get everything out on the table, and we're going to be completely honest. And so we're just going to work through things. When some of you might be, well, we don't say everything that's true. You just make sure that everything you say is true. And maybe you grew up in a family where you raised your voice, and you yelled and screamed, but you actually got it out on the table, and you were all good in the end. But maybe your significant other saying, no, we don't raise our voices. That's not how you resolve conflict. That's not how things get resolved. And then, right, here's a big one, right? How are we going to treat each other? And we put that into the box. How am I going to behave towards him? And how is he going to behave towards me? What do I expect? Well, she's never going to say, and he's never going to use this term, and she's never going to threaten. And there's just this desire for all of us of what we think, what we hope our relationship to be like. And you have maybe never defined it, and I think a lot of people don't, but you certainly have a pretty clear idea of how you want to be treated. Now, this box, right? There are several things that impact what you put in this box. Maybe it's what you've seen, maybe in other relationships, what you've seen modeled, some of the things that you've read, maybe what you've seen in culture around you. But the main thing that impacts what we put in this box is really, it's what we've experienced. And for many of us, it's what we experienced in the home that we grew up in. That has a huge influence on what goes into this box. And because of what you grew up around, what you grew up in, there is such a good chance that, one, we're either trying to avoid being like something that we grew up around, or two, what you grew up around was really good, and so you want to do everything you can to recreate that. That you've said, we're not going to have that kind of relationship. I'm not going to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my mom. Or what I saw growing up, it was good, and I want that. And maybe so what you watched growing up, maybe it was your parents. Maybe it was an older brother, older sister, and you watched them, and they had a great relationship, and you've said, you know what, I want that. And so that has influenced what you have put in this box. And so we all do this. We put our hopes and dreams and our desire into this little box. And at some point in the relationship, maybe it's while you're dating, maybe it's once you're engaged, maybe it's while you're standing there at the altar, maybe it's a month after you've been married, whatever it is, at some point, you will take this box of hope and dreams and desires, and you're going to say, here, make this come true. I put all these things in here, and now I want you to make it come true. This is what I want. This is what I want to happen. And this is what I always dreamed for it to be like. This is what I hoped it would be like. And the reason I pursued you, and the reason I asked you out, and the reason I said yes when you asked me out, the reason I asked you to marry me, and the reason that you said yes when I asked you to marry me, the reason I walked down the aisle is because this is what I want. All these things in this box, this is what I want for our future. And I need you to come through for me. I need you to deliver on the hopes and dreams and desires that I put in my box. But here's the challenge with that. That when we hand somebody that box, when we hand somebody this box of hopes and dreams and desires, right, it doesn't always feel like hopes and dreams and desires. To them, does it, right? Doesn't it a lot of times feel like a box of expectations? All of a sudden it feels like a weight. That all of a sudden maybe the bar has been raised a little bit. Okay, I'm handing you this box, and now that there's a homework assignment, now there's some responsibility, and if you don't deliver, I might be disappointed in you. And when you spent years thinking about, spent years planning for, years dreaming about, envisioned about your life and your family, your marriage, suddenly that can become a burden to someone else. And they didn't even see it coming. Now here's what's interesting with this. What's interesting is how we respond when we're handed this box. Because for some of you, you get handed that box of expectations, or you've handed over your box of expectations, and you get to this point and you're thinking, whoa, no, hold on. Because this isn't what I had in mind. You hand over this box, whoa, no, this isn't what I signed up for. You didn't tell me about that, and you weren't completely honest, and you actually changed the rules. And I look at it, I look at what's in that box, and I don't think I can meet that expectation. I don't think I'm ever going to live up to that, and you're never going to live up to it, and so I can't take it, and I'm out of here. And you pick up your box of hopes and dreams and desires, and you take it off to the next relationship, hoping that you might find somebody else that might be able to carry it. Now, some of us, we don't leave. We hand over this box, and we're the ones that win. A lot of us, we just want to, in the end, we just want to win. And in every relationship, there's generally a stronger personality. And in those situations, one person, they're just going to win. Because what's in your box, right, that's just how the world works. What's your box? This is kind of the right way. In your box, it's the rational way to do it. And I know that you thought that we'd be doing it this way, but you're wrong. That I know this is the way you always dealt with stuff in your family, but here's how things are going to be. You see, you've got the wrong box, and I've got the right one. I don't want to nitpick, but your family kind of still is a wreck, and we're not handling things that way. And when that winner wins, they're happy, right? And life is great, and they are living out their dream because now they got somebody to help them live out their dream. And they can't quite figure out what's wrong with him or her, but he's coming along, and she's doing a lot better because things are really good, because now you've actually got two people working out of your box. And the other person in the relationship, they're eventually going to fall in line with what's in your box, which of course, right, is the correct box, that everything's right. But see, some of you, you're on the other side of the person that wins. And you're the conformer. And you become, in the process, somebody that you're not. Somebody that you're not to compensate for somebody who won't accept you as you are. And you give up who you are in order to do whatever it takes to make the other person happy. And you do that whether or not it works for you. You just conform. And really conforming really only works for the person that wins. And for the person that's conformed, right, you said, hey, as long as he's happy, as long as she's happy, I'll still deal with it. I'll just handle it. It's not my dream. It's not my hope. It's not really what I would wish for. It's not really what I expected when we got married. But you know what? If he's happy, if she's happy, I'll just deal with it. See, but at the end of the day, when somebody in a relationship is simply giving up who they are to become somebody that they're not, at the end of the day, there's a high probability that they'll lose respect for their partner, and then their partner loses respect for them. Now, there's a fourth response. And probably this fourth response is the most common response, and it's, we just compromise. In fact, probably for many people, they think this is the goal, compromise, that this is the win. This is how you stay married. You just compromise. It's maybe what you saw your parents do, and they weren't unhappy, but they really weren't happy either, and they kind of got along, and they just, over the years, they just kind of worked it out. And in a compromised marriage, it's, I'm going to do my part, and you're going to do your part, but I'm going to keep an eye on you to make sure that you're doing your part, and I know that you're going to be watching to make sure that I do my part. And in a compromised marriage, here's what ends up happening. You both end up keeping score. That both of you end up keeping score. You both end up keeping a record. This kind of marriage kind of leans towards being very contractual. Well, this year was with my family, and next year we're going to be with yours, and so don't even bring it up again because we've already made this decision, right? We've made the compromise. And this kind of relationship, whether it's a dating relationship, whether it's an engaged relationship, married relationship, when it comes to it, there's low trust. In fact, over time, the trust continues to get lower and lower and lower. And hear me, in a compromise type of relationship, you can go the distance. Like you can get till death do us part. But can I just tell you that there is a better way? There's actually a fifth way. And I'm sorry to disappoint you. We'll talk about that more next week. So you just got to show up next week, all right? You got to show up next week. But let me just give you a little bit of sneak peek. And we talk about this verse a lot. And so this is the fifth way, and this is Jesus. He's giving his disciples kind of this last-minute pep talk, and he says, hey, I've got something for you. He says, I'm giving you a new commandment. And the one thing, do this one thing. All the other commandments sum up into this one thing. He says, love each other. And what does that look like? He says, just as I have loved you, you should love each other. So that's the one thing that he said, this one command that he gives to us. I know some of you are worried. You're like, is he going to use any scripture today? And right, I got one. But honestly, this is the fifth way. And like I said, we'll jump into this more next week. But there is hope for any relationship, for every relationship. But, okay, for today, I want to bring us back to this box. See, when you take this box and you hand it to someone and say, hey, here's what I want. Here's what I want. Do it. All of a sudden, you know what happens when we do that? All of a sudden, they owe you. That now that I've committed my life to you, and now that you've committed your life to me, now that we're committing to moving forward in our lives, committing to each other, now here's my box, and now you owe me. You owe me the attention, and only the kind of attention the way I want it. You owe me to fully resolve conflict because that's exactly what I expect. You owe me to make sure that I enjoy how we put together our calendar. You owe it to me for how we're to handle our money, for how we're to travel. You owe me affection, and certainly owe me affection the way that I want it. You owe me to pay the bills. You owe me to provide for me. You owe me to make sure the house is clean. You owe me to stay in shape. You owe me patience. You owe kids to me. You owe me clean socks. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. You owe me, and I owe you. And this is where so many end up. But see, the truth is that's not what God ultimately had in mind when he put the first man and first woman together. Because the minute I owe you, and the minute you owe me, here's my expectations. The minute that happens, you know what happens? Thankfulness and gratitude go completely out the window. And here's what I mean by that. Think about this. If she does something, or if he does something, and I'm not thankful for that, or you're not thankful for that, and the reason I'm not thankful for it is because, well, that's kind of what you should do. And that's what she knows she should do, and that's what he knows he should do. He knows that, she knows that. I gave him my box of expectations, and he handed me his, and that's what he should be doing, and that's what she should be doing. See, they're the expectations. And it's really, really difficult if that's how we view things, it's really difficult to be thankful. It's really difficult to be grateful for something we expect the other person to do. And over time, and you know this, right? Over time, you get really used to it. And it gets really easy to quit expressing gratitude. And so let me just tell you, gratitude is so key to this. And here's what gratitude is. Gratitude is, wow, I didn't expect that. What do you mean you didn't expect that? I make your lunch every morning. I get the kids ready every morning. I keep the house clean. I get the kids to practice. I get the kids to school. What do you mean you didn't expect it? Because I've done this every day for the last 5, 10, 15 years. What do you mean that you didn't expect me to do that? Well, I know that you've done that, and I know that you take care of that. And here's gratitude. I know you do, but I'm as grateful this time as I was the first time. And so thank you. And you know what? I don't expect it tomorrow either. And so I just want to say thank you. And so gratitude says, I didn't expect that, and I am grateful for that. And to me, this right here, this is a game changer. This is how you fuel healthy relationships, because expressing gratitude, it points to the fact that, you know what? We're not focused on filling up a box full of expectations. It means that we're not worried about, okay, here you go, and this is what I need, and you owe me now. Because think about this, right? If he owes you flowers, well, it's Valentine's Day. Here are the flowers. Here they are. You owe me, it's my birthday. Where's the card and the gift? Well, I've got the card and I've got the gift. See, if I owe you, I can't love you. Because love does not do well in an environment of expectation. In an environment of expectation, it's almost impossible to love because, it's what I'm supposed to do. It's what I'm expected to do. It's what I'm accustomed to. That's what I'm used to. She always does. He always does. My father always did. My mother always did. Well, that's what women are supposed to do, and that's what men are supposed to do. That's what couples are supposed to do. It's a supposed to do kind of thing. And he's meeting the expectations, and she's meeting the requirements. So things are good. They're kind of the way that I expected them to be. But see, if that's where you're at, or if that's where you find yourself one day, to me, that's so challenging because it's based on meeting expectations. And eventually, it might just get to the point where you feel like, I don't feel like I can ever do enough to make you feel like I love you. It doesn't ever feel like I do enough. That there's always something, I feel like, something more that you're expecting of me. And see, we'd all agree that is no way to live. And so for some of you have spent years filling this box with hopes and dreams and desires. And honestly, you know what? Much of the things that you have placed in this box, they are good things. Probably all the things that you have put in this box are good things. But what do we do with this? Right? Because, right, you don't hopefully want them to feel like, hey, here's my expectations. You don't want them to feel like they're a burden. And you would probably say, well, that wasn't my intention. I don't want that for him. I love him. I don't want that for her. I love her. And so what do we do about what's in this box? Do we just feel guilty about it? Or maybe we just pretend or hide? Maybe we ignore? Maybe we lie? Now here's the short answer. The short answer is you keep your hopes and dreams and desires in that box. And you keep them there. Now that leads to the next question. How do you do that? How do you keep that stuff in there and not hand it to the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? How do we keep these things in this box? And the answer to that question, I'll be honest, it'll bother you because you probably already know the answer to the question. See, the best way to keep hopes and dreams and desires in the hopes and dreams and desire box and out of the expectation box is to ask this question. What does your spouse, or what does your future spouse, what do they owe you? What What do they owe you? And to me, the couples that are getting this thing right, this marriage thing right, see, they know the answer to that question is nothing. The couples that are getting this right, that they know that they owe each other everything, but yet they're not owed anything in return, which I know maybe doesn't quite make sense, but really, isn't that what love is? Right? Back to that verse, Jesus said, just as I have loved you, love one another. That's exactly what he showed us to do. He didn't owe us anything. And because of what he did, we now owe him everything. And so what does your spouse or what does your future spouse owe you? Couples that are getting this right, they know that they owe each other everything, but they're not owed anything in return. And so let me close with this, right? And this is homework. These are some questions, and I want you to take these home, and I want you to ask yourself these questions. And hear me, these questions have nothing to do with your spouse, and these questions have nothing to do with your significant other. These questions have nothing to do with whoever you might be dating. This is a you question. And so do me this favor. Don't jump in the car. You're joining us online. Don't shut the TV off and jump right into these questions and look at your spouse and say, what do you think? No, these are you questions. And here's the first question. So what's in your box? What's in your box? You should know the answer to that. Because one of the reasons that you accidentally apply pressure to the person you love is because you're not clear about what's in there. And it's not clear to them. And it's confusing. And they're constantly trying to figure out, what did you put in here? What's in your box? If you're single and you're not in a relationship, you should start thinking about this question, because eventually there's going to be a day when you hand this box to somebody else. And the second question is this: are you expecting someone to carry it around for you? Have you handed this off intentionally or unintentionally? Is somebody living with the extra weight and the extra pressure that they are not designed to live with, and they are not designed to carry, and they are not designed to have to handle? Because no one wants that. No one thrives in that. Love is really hard to find in that. And so those two questions. What's in your box? This is homework. What's in your box? And have you, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, is somebody carrying that for you? Because what's in that box makes a huge difference in our relationships with the people that matter the most. Would you bow your heads with me? Dear Heavenly Father, God, I just, again, as I prayed for this earlier, God, I pray that you would do a work in us. There is no more important relationship to us than those romantic relationships. And I say all the time that marriage is one of the most challenging jobs that we'll ever have, along with raising kids. But God, I pray for those that are married, that you would strengthen their marriage. You would allow them to do a little bit of digging deep into their own hearts and their own minds so that they can discover what is in that box, what they've placed in there. God, I pray for those that are dating, that maybe as they're headed this direction, that they would do some work ahead of time so that they kind of set a really good foundation. God, for those that are maybe still looking or kind of aren't even sure where they're at, God, I pray that you would work in their hearts in a way that you would help them see. And maybe some of the things that they've put in their box, and what does that look like in future relationships? Because, God, the reality is that you care more about our marriages, you care more about our relationships, you care more about us and our hearts than anyone else ever could. And so, God, I pray that we would get this right. God, I pray that we would strive to do this, God, that you would work in the midst of our relationships, in the midst of our future relationships, so that we can have marriages and relationships that in the end honor you. So, God, we love you. And we give you praise. Amen. Amen. So there are two questions. That's your homework assignment. And to find out, number 5, how we handle this stuff, you got to come back next week. You got to watch online next week. But those two questions: what's in your box, and have you actually asked somebody to carry that box around for you? So again, I can't thank you enough for joining us this morning. If you're watching online, stick around for a few minutes. This is for everybody. We have our next steps today. If you've been attending Watermark for a little while, maybe even today's your first day, and you want to know a little bit more about us If you're watching online, you'll be able to continue to watch Next Steps online. But for those of you that are here in person, right up here on my right in front of me, we'll get Next Steps started in a few moments. And so I invite you just to kind of make your way over here. We'll jump into that. And if you're new and you're not coming to Next Steps, make sure you stop by Guest Central on your way out. We would love the chance to just meet with you and talk with you this morning. But my challenge this week then is that you would go and leave a lasting mark. You're dismissed.